Who is it?
You spoony bard.
Oh, you know the password. Welcome to the Underground Racing Club. And welcome to all of you to the Underground Racing Club, Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise on the Free Enterprise channel. My name is Sheep Launcher. I'm here with Possum Morpheus. We're here with our tracker Xenocat, our restreamer Scala Kitty. We've got a nocturnal animal edition of this race. And this race is going to be long on excitement, deep into the night, Possum.
And I, for one, am looking forward to it. This is one of my favorite of the racing clubs. And now that I'm allowed into it after having guessed the password correctly, I'm super excited to give everyone a little bit of rundown on what's going on. But Sheep Launcher, as always, thank you so much for being in the comms booth with me. I definitely appreciate it. And what's your favorite nocturnal animal of everyone we have here tonight?
Oh, it's hard to beat the North American marsupial itself, the possum. You certainly picked the right animal to take your name from. But yeah, we've got two great racers on stream tonight in Gambit 017 and Tybalt dealing with the underground flags, the standard ones. Possum, what kind of shenanigans can we expect from these flags tonight?
Well, the big one is that there's a lot of relatively free stuff on the overworld for everyone to do. Things like the Mist Cave, things like the waterfall, your very average, rudimentary, overworld checks. But then we get into some of the spicier stuff. The Forge requiring 2 key items, the Pinktail requiring 2 key items, the Giant of Babel, in this case, requiring a darkness crystal and a little bit of gumption. So the objectives themselves, they could take us on a pretty whirlwind tour of the entire world of Free Enterprise. And it looks like we are going to be joined on that tour by Yang, Kane, and a Spoon. So if Bard, Spoon flag is on.
Wait.
And Sheep, I'm not going to lie, I have no idea what you just said. I do apologize, but I'll just continue on from here for right now. So it looks like we have Tybalt and Gambit starting out. We'll see what directions they go, what type of looting they do. And just so everybody knows, the treasure settings are standard, sparse 80. So standard means there is unweighted loot. So everything can be in every location, generally not the best items that are going to be just floating around readily available. And sparse 80 means that there will be only 80% of chests and pots full. Now, Tybalt right away finding a rune axe and a crystal armor, and that's 2 pretty phenomenal pickups.
Have specifically higher tier items, but there is some dense treasure here.
Yeah, absolutely. Any of those dense treasure locations are certainly going to be beneficial to the runners. Something like a Damsian treasury, I assume we will see both of them go in and loot for sure. Gambit picking up my favorite weapon, hashtag Team Poison Axe, out of the waterfall in Watery Pass.
I was just about to comment on that. Very nice pickup in the waterfall there. Kane can use that very nicely. Has its uses against a lot of bosses and a lot of enemies.
Yeah, and any of the axes, the rune axe, the poison axe, ogre axe, all strong versus that giant type as well. So they can assist if you need to check out some mad ogres, if you need to check out stale men, things like that. Lots of nice uses, and there's a blizzard spear as well. Speaking of nice things for arcane.
Very nice. While the runners are looting out a bit, talking about these objectives, the first 6, the overworld checks, the Forge objective, and trade away the Pinktail are with us on all of the Underground Racing Clubs. The 2 random ones: complete the Giant of Babel, raise the Big Whale. Even though you only need 7 of the 8 objectives, the Darkness Crystal is going to be hard required here.
That is absolutely true. And to me, that Giant of Babel is particularly interesting. It may not be required, but if it is, there are some very unpleasant combinations that you can get at the elements and then CPU spots. And speaking of potentially unpleasant things, that Asura would be a little bit unpleasant for Tybalt if he didn't have exactly a rune axe that he picked up out of Baron. So I assume this Asura is going to be one shot and down, and Tybalt will be the proud new father of Porum.
Yeah, the White Mage Asura guarding the White Mage Porum up on top of Mount Hobbs, getting a little bit low of a damage roll with that rune axe, but should still take care of Asura very quickly.
Yeah, one of the kind of unfortunate things about axes, as strong as they are, they're not very accurate. So poison axe, rune axe, they're about 60 or 65% accurate, and it really showed in that fight with those damage rolls. Things that are very accurate, though, that was a Grimoire pickup from Tybalt on Mount Hobbs as well, and that could be very important for some early fights.
Yeah, the Grimoire is the ultimate risk-taking. It produces a random summon. It could be a Chocobo. It could be a Mist Dragon. It could be a Bahamut. So it all depends how lucky our runners are feeling. And there's a spare Bacchus wine in the Antlion Cave. Very nice. Tybalt, the first one to die the Antlion Cave, one of the required objectives.
Yeah, definitely a good pickup there. An extra Bacchus wine can go a long way, especially against bosses like, an Ogopogo at a hook route or something like that, where you might not otherwise have the requisite turns to have your White Mage be able to actually get a Berserk off. So extra Bacchus, always handy. It looks like Gambit is going and looting Baron in as well, kind of covering Tybalt's footsteps, and is able, most likely now, to get through that Asura, which they unfortunately did have to reset out of.
That is a vanilla Yong hanging out in the Baron Inn. Couple of Yongs in the party isn't particularly appetizing to the runners, you might think. So we'll see whether anybody is in a hurry to check that Baron Inn spot.
Yeah, I will say, while 2 Yongs is not necessarily ideal, it's better than not having a 4th character. So if it comes down to that, I think a 2nd Yong would be on the table for our runners. And there's a Baigen.
Baigen hanging out in the bottom of the Antlion Cave. I guess Baigen has made this his man cave for tonight and is just hanging out. We probably interrupted him watching the stream of Underground Racing Club, and we're going to beat him up for no reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Baigen's man cave here looks a little barren.
No, it's not barren. It's outside of Damsian.
Oh, okay. You win. But we have Tybalt about to be through this Baigen. Unfortunately, the arms are regenerating repeatedly, so a little bit of Baigen arm grinding going on here. Maybe get some extra XP for that Porum. But shortly, he will be through. There's the main body down. And we also have Gambit going back. I believe Runax in hand now, and should be able to get through this Asura pretty easily at this point. But let's find out what this objective of Antlion Cave gets us. And there is the hook. So I'm excited.
There's our 4th character. If Tybalt wants to dive that, although he doesn't have a source of exit just yet. So that might be a little dicey for him. It's also a chance to do some looting.
Yeah, absolutely. I did notice that both runners had picked up a random exit that was lying around somewhere. I don't remember exactly where. I know I should. It's only been 7 minutes since we started this thing, but I know there was an exit that was picked up. I think that's also the third Blizzard Spear our runners have found now with Gambit looting the west side of Mount Hobbs. So lots of Kane gear to start this seed out. Pretty much everything he could want.
Tybalt heading to Damsian, going to launch that hovercraft, gives some indication of where his mind is. We were joking a little bit about that arm grind, but grinding is particularly important in these flags. You can't steal sirens, and sirens are very likely to be, or sirens are not going to be available in shops unless you get to Kokol, and then even that is not guaranteed. So our runners will be looking for experience any way they can get it, you'd think.
Yeah, absolutely. The one saving grace with the Kokol Forge is that on exactly these flags, which are S Pro, the Forge has the highest chance of having tier 5 items in it, which would be those sirens, Bacchus wines, hourglasses, and things like that. So if there ever were a flag set to find sirens on, this is it. And
in fact, tier 5 items are not available in shops on S Pro, except in Kokol's Forge. The ungated shops only have up to tier 3, and the gated shops only have up to tier 4.
Correct. And it looks like we have a pair of nasty dragons that took a vacation from the moon to go hang out in what I'm going to assume is a sauna here on Earth.
Yeah, they're just chilling in this hot tub type thing. This spot, I say it every time, it's deceptively fast. It's a very quick spot. In the vanilla game, Octomam, you can slow down by hitting it with attacks and chopping off its arms, but the D-Lunars don't have that problem, so they're going to keep hitting and keep hitting hard.
Yeah, and the spot itself has 31 agility, which is far and away the fastest spot on the overworld. Second to that is 18 agility, I believe, at the Valvulus spot in the Tower of Zot. So it's not even close how fast that spot is compared to the rest of the overworld. But Tybalt does a great job, gets through it, and gets a vampire out of a chest as well, which can certainly help making some other future fight a little freer.
Yes, a vampire, a very nice pickup. Drains the health from an enemy and adds it to yours. It's a very nice, useful item for some fights. Tybalt will be glad you picked that up.
Yeah, I can say from experience, don't use a vampire on lunar dragons, though. You will have a bad day since they're undead, and you end up most of the time killing off your own party. So don't do that. Looks like that Sparse 80 hit that front room of Cave Ablana pretty hard there, as Tybalt found 0 chests. A little unlucky there, attempting to loot this Eblin Cave.
Finds illusions in the shop there, although nothing else in that shop. Illusions worth pinching your pennies for.
Yeah, illusions are great. And with S Pro on, though, excuse me, not S Pro, S Quarter, with everything selling for a quarter of the normal price, pinching pennies is going to be a really big deal here. So spending 28,000 of those hard-earned gold coins on 2 black belts, that's quite an aggressive line from Tybalt, going through and buying a little bit better equipment for his Yang and his Kane.
Yeah, black belts are nice attack boosters. So Tybalt's obviously wanting to depend on that Kane and that Yang, especially early on, for some damage.
Yeah, and speaking of depending on characters for early damage, there's a Palom, and that's a character that does a lot of damage early. And some form of Mylon on the hook route, which is relatively free, regardless of which one it is. I would say Mylon Z would be a lot scarier, but still not that bad, especially with a Quack Kid and a Kane.
Yeah, Mylon Z in the Rubicante spot should be doable with this party. Palom, a great pickup, has tremendous black magic, gets Quake super early. That's why he's the Quake kid. And now that he has two twins, can do twin magic, which can clean up pretty much any boss on the overworld.
That is true. Twin magic extremely powerful early on. Would help get through any number of things, including these pesky lunar dragons that Gambit is taking another crack at. Because unfortunately, the breath attack decided to be very rude to him and his party.
Tybalt and Cave Evelyn picked up a Gaia hat, the best hat for that Palom.
Yeah, Gaia hat definitely very good. I personally am a fan of a glass hat for Palom myself, as opposed to a Gaia hat, because he gets a ton of natural wisdom, but has very little in the way of physical defense. So I'm biased towards a glass hat, but Gaia hat's certainly a wonderful addition to his inventory.
That breath attack has just decimated Gambit a couple of times now, and having been on the wrong end of some unwanted breath myself, it's not fun.
Yeah, the waterfall boss with a bad case of halitosis tonight, really getting the better of Gambit so far. A little unfortunate, he decided to use his big bomb for speed earlier on, and that decision to use the J item, and correctly in most cases, to get through that Baigen, unfortunately is coming back to bite him, because that would more or less one-shot these lunar dragons. So just a little bit unlucky on the J item usage. Looks like we're getting some grimoires coming out. Odin unfortunately not going to do a whole lot, but we'll see if we can get some better rolls with the grimoire for Gambit.
Yeah, Odin about the worst roll on that grimoire you can get. Causes instant death to enemies. Unfortunately, being bosses, the D-Lunars are immune to instant death.
Well, if Odin's the worst, Chocobo's probably number 2 there.
Hey, it's 120 more than he did previously.
That is true. And looks like we get a Star Veil up. So if nothing else, I think Gambit really just wanted to conserve those Star Veils. That's probably why we were seeing the struggles, is just wanting to be item efficient in the long run. But looks like Tybalt is making his way up at Mount Ordeals and going to give us the first peek at the loot that's up there, as well as the bosses that are up there. And getting a pair of samurai gauntlets for his trouble, which will be nice for that Cain as well. So lots of nice heavy armor and gear overall for this Cain.
Gambit makes it through. And this Ordeals play, interesting at this point. Tybalt does have the hook, but gambling on there being something else he wants from this Ordeals play. 3 bosses, not especially quick, doesn't need it for any other reason, like turning Cecil into a paladin or getting Tell his fullest of spells.
Yeah, I know one thing that I really like to do, and I've seen a couple other folks do it as well, is I like to go up Ordeals and then grind random encounters to get Virus on Palom. I find that to be such a boon to the team in the long run, and I wonder if we'll see something similar from Tybalt if he's going to take any encounters to power up that Palom who has missed out on at least the Hobbs experience. So it'll be interesting to see what the decision is there, as we see Gambit having now done Mist Cave as well, very quickly in and out of that fight.
Yeah, one boss fight, including the first boss fight at Ordeals, gets Palom up to at least his level 2 spells, which makes him instantly useful. So getting Palom certainly up to Virus, maybe even up to Quake, before diving that hook route, could be the play for Tybalt here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see the second half of the dragon for the Dark Elf form falling over. Only 3,200 experience instead of the normal, I think it's 4,000 there, somewhere around there. It might be 5,000. So a little bit of a cut in XP, but not too bad overall. Still gets 3 levels and gets the level 2 spells on that Palom, which is the important part. And Gambit found the monster box in Cave Eblin. It was inside the inn room, so they are going to be able to loot with impunity now throughout the rest of the cave. So that's some decent information for them. Ooh, speaking of places those level 2 spells are good, this is very quickly going to go from was it leg to it was in fact leg, and we didn't get to see it very long. Also a blizzard spear for that cane, going to do some work.
Is that 4 blizzard spears now? Oh, sorry.
It's enough blizzard spears that this Rubicant is going to have a bad day, and there's that bad day done. So Tybalt did not skip leg day, and we will get our first check at the Ordeal's key item very shortly. And looks like there was a silent staff, a dragoon spear, a lot of good loot that I missed the first time around while Tybalt was going through this Cave Eblin. So pretty good stuff in there. That silent staff in particular to me is very nice. And a charm rod as well for the Palom. Those are 2 really good pickups as far as I'm concerned. That's some endgame stat sticks for the mages to find very early on.
T Standard being very generous to our runners tonight.
Yeah, definitely being generous, and that's a good thing. And speaking of good things, there's an Excalibur from Mount Ordeals. I believe in vanilla that would be a legend sword, so a slight upgrade on weaponry here.
Yeah, it's like Ordeals decided to just find the adamant itself and give the Excal. Very nice, and now the Cecil hunt is on.
Yeah, Cecil would be huge here. So if, let's say, Baron Inn were to turn into, a sand ruby, and there's a Cecil there, and one runner checks it and one doesn't before diving the hook, that could make all the difference in the world. So, if we hope that there's a Cecil Overground, of course, that both runners get him, or neither, and they both struggle, because we always like to see a good struggle, but...
You're so mean.
Well, it's the runner in me. I know that I like a good challenge, and I know that these 2 runners are more than capable of conquering a good challenge, too. Both Tybalt and Gambit, phenomenal runners of this game. So if there's a challenge, they are definitely up to the task.
Tybalt takes care of Dr. Luge and officially gets his Excal. That's a good spot for Dr. Luge, if only because you don't have to hear him speak. Yeah,
basically can just poke Dr. Luge 3 times and he goes away in all his various forms, instead of having to listen to a very long-winded, rambling speech about absolutely nothing of any importance.
It's very fitting for a mad scientist, but annoying for a runner.
That's definitely true, and the other annoying part would be, had that second part of the fight gone off, and the poison hit the individuals, I think Tybalt would still be poison walking, and that would not be music to our ears.
Certainly not, or to our eyes.
That is definitely true. Looks like we're going to get the rare Silvera shop, splurging for a headband on Tybalt's side, so definitely trying to gear up. Nice arrows in there, some mute arrows. No real archer to take advantage of it. Porum could be turned into an archer if needed, but don't really have a heroine robe or anything like that to truly get her started.
No, but it's good insurance against a rude boss at the King Queen Evelyn spot. Maybe Magus Sisters, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like we are going to get a Fabul check. So no single dip Fabul today, which is not surprising. This is not exactly a power overwhelming team for the overworld. And probably not an ideal team without a lot of levels to take on the bosses on the hook route.
Exits and lives in that Fabul shop, very useful.
Yeah, especially those life potions are nice. You buy, in this case, I think Tybalt bought 30 or 40 of them, and you don't have to worry about finding them for the rest of the seed. So, makes it nice and easy. Don't have to worry about relying solely on a white mage. And if it comes down to it, can also go ahead and, do a grind of some sort, like a D Machine or Mac Giant grind, and you have those life potions ready to go. But it looks like we have elements in Fabul, so going to be a lot of elemental magic play going on here by Tybalt, taking advantage of all of the various weaknesses, or just the weakness of the Mylon Z form, and that's that.
Didn't even get to leg.
Yeah, I guess we just get one leg today, not 1 1/4 leg. But what we do get is a twin harp, and that truly is music to my ears. And I'm guessing something Tybalt's going to do before going underground.
Certainly would make sense to do so. Although it is a longer check, come on, Tybalt. Be the hero of the people.
I think the community guarantee, if you will, is if you're on Restream and you get the harp, and there might be a chance it's required or it's before a hook route, you're doing the twin harp because we need the music. I think that's pretty much a community guarantee.
I mean, if we're up this late and we're having fun here, you gotta have some music pumping in.
Absolutely. Plus, it gives me a opportunity to shout out my great friend Comlamity, who does a lot of the harp music along with Boardface. So, always love a great harp tune.
I was watching Comlamity the other day create a new harp song, and it is quite incredible how he creates all these harp songs, and there are quite a few of them here in Free Enterprise.
Yeah, he's absolutely incredible at what he does with both the harp stuff and real life music composition. He's absolutely wonderful at it. So huge shout out to him for being part of this community, and huge shout out to Tybalt for going through and doing this harp check almost immediately.
Also doing some treasure checking. Unfortunately, just some darkness arrows.
Yeah, the darkness arrows could come in handy, I suppose, if there's an Octomam here, being weak to the dark element. Trying to think of the other possible viable uses for it, but that's the one that comes to mind.
Demist, maybe?
Yeah, Demist, I suppose. Oh, being corrected by chat, it looks like darkness arrows are not actually dark elements, so that wouldn't do any good. Today I learned.
Seems like false advertising to me.
Yeah, I would have assumed it was element based, but again, I can't tell you the last time I honestly used darkness arrows in this game, so I'm the wrong person to ask. Well, it looks like Tybalt is taking a break before going to fight the boss at the Twin Harp location, so hopefully there's not some sort of emulator issue or anything like that. Hopefully, it's just a brief screen freeze.
The torches are still going, so hopefully that bodes.
Does look like he had to take a reset, so might have been an emulator issue or something that has gone awry on his side. But hopefully that that doesn't cause too much of an issue in the long run, as he's able to get right back into this Cave Magnus. And looks like Gambit's going to give us our first check at the second Baron Inn boss after he gets through what is a surprisingly annoying Mom Bomb in this location, since normally it should have about 500 hit points here. Instead, it's going to have about 9,500 hit points here. So kind of an unpleasant spot to find Mom Bomb.
Yeah, Mom Bomb anywhere is annoying because Mom Bomb gets about 10,000 extra HP, but especially in this spot, which should be a pushover, instead can become quite a slog. But Tybalt is in the music fight, and we're gonna have the Bard play us some tunes.
Yeah, I for one am looking forward to this. This is one of my favorite parts of every free enterprise race. So while Gambit is getting through Baron Inn, I'm going to shut my trap, put myself on mute, and we're going to listen to some of those funky tunes.
Tibble continues to slog his way through this kind of vanilla, pale dim fight. It looks like the dragon form of Dark Elf makes it through. Meanwhile, Gambit did get the crystal ring from Baron Inn, and it's now in Castle Eblin.
Yeah, that crystal ring will actually be especially nice against that Dark Elf, providing a ton of physical defense as well, and will also help his character survive all sorts of other random attacks. For example, from these very rude skulls and stalemen. But looks like he is not only making the loot dive into Castle Eblin, he's also going for monster boxes here. So not comfortable with his levels quite yet for this hook route.
Plus, the trap chests are the only way to get tier 6 or 7 items from chests in this flag set. So could be looking for a nice upgraded weapon or piece of armor.
Yeah, lots of good gear that if his party can survive, which these are being very rude right now, but lots of really good gear for especially that cane is what you'd be looking for here. Something like an Avenger, something like a White Spear, a Dragoon Spear. Gambit, unfortunately, just not having any luck with a lot of these fights tonight. Just getting bodied in the worst possible way by them. But hopefully he's able to have some better luck with a different monster box this time around, or a second attempt at the same one.
Yeah, the Staleman and Skull Chest really been Gambit around.
Yeah, now one thing I did want to point out, a little bit of useful information for those watching, is that the twin spell that Gambit was using was only doing about 100 damage per enemy, which might seem a little low. The reason for that is because of the ordering of his twins. Generally speaking, you would want Palom to be in the priority position over Porum. That way, the actual twin spell will use his magic stat instead of Porum's magic stat. And obviously, Palom is going to be significantly stronger. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a rotation on those mages at all, or if he keeps it as is. But looks like he's having a lot better luck this time around. And is through. Unfortunately, Palom on the ground, which is probably the most important character right now to get XP on, but through this fight regardless, and is rewarded with some Hanzo steel for Sir not appearing in the seed so far.
Yeah, as if we weren't on a character hunt before to find a Cecil to go with that Excal. An Edge would certainly appreciate that Masamune if he ever turns up.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see Tibble getting his crystal ring and his second Yang. And we also see my least favorite trap chest in Eblin Castle, because these black cats are ridiculously mean. And they have a penchant for just one-shotting your party with the bluster move, and if it doesn't kill you, it paralyzes you. Neither outcome is good.
Which makes them different from regular cats how?
That is a very great point. It doesn't.
I've certainly been paralyzed by cats putting the moves on me. Cat decides my lap is the place it's gonna go, and I'm not moving for a while.
Yeah, it's a little different though, because in that case, it's fine. You know, cat sit on lap, cat lay on you while you're laying on the couch or in bed. You know, cats do what cats are gonna do. But these cats are actively trying to end you, as opposed to the more domesticated versions, which really just want to play nice until they get their food.
No, they want to end you. They just haven't figured out how to do it yet.
I guess we have. Oh, there's a big piece of gear right there. That's the payoff.
Sword.
Yeah,
Very nice.
That's the payoff right there.
That makes the entire Eblin trek worth it. Gambit has a great weapon for Kane. The Avenger, of course, casts Berserk. It has great stats all on its own. Can be used for some stat manipulation shenanigans. He's in great shape.
Yeah, there's very few pieces of gear that have the impact singularly that an Avenger does. It's just an absolutely bonkers piece of gear. I'm a little surprised he's taking this third box. I probably myself would have said, okay, I have my Avenger, I have my carry, I'm good. But I certainly appreciate the commitment to getting all those levels as much as possible before the hook route. Just if for no other reason, to save time later on.
Yeah, it is worth pointing out that Palom missed out on some experience from an earlier box, so could be looking to make up some of that with another chest here.
That's certainly true. That Quake is a big deal. Less of a big deal if it's exactly Mylon Z on the hook route, which we'll find out shortly. But it looks like we are greeted by Ogopogo. That's a nasty Ogopogo at the King Queen Eblin spot.
That is very rude. This spot hits like a truck.
Yeah, this is unpleasant. That's almost 1,000 to Kane, and that's a Kane that we've gotten a lot of good gear for.
Yeah, Tybalt's scrambling here to get everybody up, but this Ogopogo will one-shot any of his party members right now.
Well, the usage of all of the random life potions is fantastic because it's just giving more targets to hit, and every hit that doesn't go onto that Berserk Yang is just a better chance to get through. So this Yang is solo carrying by virtue basically of everyone else getting punched in the face. And board AI has been very friendly so far. Hopefully I don't jinx that. And yeah, another hit to another non-Yang. So this is great for Tybalt. Well, was great. My bad, Tybalt, I'm sorry. You can hashtag blame Possum.
Meanwhile, Gambit gets a crystal shield from that last chest in Eblin. Will be worth some money, although with S-Quarter, not as much as you'd hope for.
Yeah, that S-Quarter, it's a doozy of a flag. It's not quite as much of a doozy as the new S-Cell 0. That is an option with the new beta flags for everyone who has had the pleasure of checking those out. But it's still quite an issue to deal with. I will be curious to see if Gambit continues on and looks for the Mad Ogres as well, and see if he can get even more experience, which we know at this point will help with that Ogopogo. But I think while we have a moment, I know that I saw Scala shout out the beta flag link, but I do want to thank everyone again behind the scenes. Xenocat doing the tracking this evening. While there haven't been a ton of buttons to press yet, always a great job tracking the items, tracking the non-key items that our runners have gotten so far. And of course, a huge shout out to Scala Kitty. As well, doing the restreaming this evening and rolling the seed. And huge shout out, give our runners a follow as well. Tybalt demonstrating great ability there, getting through the Ogopogo second try with Kane at 146 health in the dream.
Yeah, Tybalt made it through that Ogopogo, no experience there, so the fact that only Kane was up at the end of it, no matter. Now by the stock and honor of his kin, To strike Ogopogo dead, I hold it not a sin.
Very well said.
Tybalt said it. I was just repeating it.
And we'll see if Gambit is as lucky. And the reason I phrase it in that manner is having this Kane in the middle slot also means that he is trying to take on Ogopogo agility for agility instead of trying to put a slower person in the middle. Looks like he has gone back and fixed that. And leading in with the Avenger now, just going to go as quickly as possible against that Ogopogo, while we do find that Mylon Z. So certainly the rooter of the two Mylons for this hook route, but shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Yeah, his three fighters, the two Yongs and the Kane, putting out a bunch of damage against Mylon Z. And it looks like Tybalt is trucking Gambit. Meanwhile, refits, and this Ogopogo fight hopefully will go smoother.
Yeah, unfortunately, his Kane took the first punch, which is the absolute last character he wanted to get punched there. So not an ideal start to the fight for Gambit. Again, he's just had a rough go of things so far with targeting on his characters in multiple fights. And Mama said there'll be days like these, and this is one of them so far for Gambit on the RNG side of things.
I wonder what he did to Board. Must have done something.
Hard to say, because Board is a pretty benevolent ruler as far as I'm concerned. All of the wonderful things that he does to get Free Enterprise going and keep it going.
And I think Board is a well-wisher in that he doesn't wish anybody any specific harm.
Certainly true. Looks like a Gambit going and grabbing this Mad Ogre chest, going to get some more experience. Using the Avenger on a Poison Axe, so going to keep the Ogre, the Giant killing ability, and also Self-Inflict Berserk, so going to be one-shotting those Ogres quite easily.
Too many Zerk fighters to get off good life glitches, it looks like, but this will still provide some good experience, and Tybalt is through.
Yeah, speaking of good experience, that's 25,000 experience points going to all four of the party members he wanted it on as well. And looks like he is keeping a Yanker right now, while his other characters are able to go through and do what they need to do.
And Palom just now learning Virus on Tybalt's side, so even more impressive that he was able to make it through without Palom even having Virus.
Yeah, definitely impressive. That being said, Virus would have done absolutely nothing against that Ogopogo, or very little anyway. And the Berserkers would do quite a bit more than Virus. So one of the few situations where Virus actually would have had a minimal impact. So he definitely picked up some time over folks who would have otherwise gone for Virus or grinded a little more to get Quake or Virus on that Palom.
I just realized Gambit hasn't been to Fabul yet, has no life potions, or at least not a stack of them.
Yeah, shouldn't be too big an issue, especially with his levels. He's going to have a lot of good abilities with that White Mage already. I believe we have Blink and Berserk. Yeah, definitely have Blink and Berserk. So that Porum is actually going to be able to keep people alive rather than have to bring them back up.
Gets a Gungnir Spear from that chest. His Kane is like a hog in slop right now. Yeah,
all the Kane gear. So for those who are Team Gungnir Spear out there, which I know Xenocat, our tracker, is, that is a good pickup for that Kane. And speaking of good pickups, which may render all of that former equipment discussion irrelevant, there's an Earth Crystal, which allows us to peek a treasury, as well as 2 additional potential characters. So I would imagine we will see that Earth Crystal check sooner than later, if for no other reason than the characters.
Yeah, there are 2 characters that we have gear for that'd be very nice to pick up. So Tybalt has to have that on the back of his mind. I noticed that the boss at the top of the tower is either Baron Guards or Kaipo Guards. Kind of interesting play there. Maybe a cheeky keyless tower play is in the offing.
Yeah, definitely could be. I did see that Tybalt flexed on the seed a little bit and sold that Excalibur. Speaking of flexing on the seed, there's a Dark Knight Cecil at the King of Summon Monster spot. That's 1131 to 1305 damage per Dark Wave, which is a nice, pleasant way of saying you ain't going there for a long time.
That is a fine how do you do.
Yeah, more like a how do you don't.
More like a how about no.
Yeah, that's a hard pass. But the Octomam at the Asura spot, while being extraordinarily fast, starting with, I think it's 66 agility, something like that, it will reduce quite a bit once you get a few hits in on it. So that Octomam is certainly doable. Not something you really want to play around with yet, but that Dark Knight Cecil Leviathan, if that has, let's say, the Darkness Crystal, it's going to be a while, possibly quite a long while, before our runners are brave enough to conquer that.
Tybalt doing some more flexing, exiting from the foot of Young's bed. How much time do you think that saves, Possum?
I think it loses time.
That's not a play you see often.
But that's a good kind of reminder of where his mindset is at, though, because he's thinking, gotta go fast, gotta go fast, gotta go fast. And you get into the habit sometimes of doing things. In this case, it could just be his habit is, get out of a dungeon, okay, need to cast exit. I know that I do it from like the 2nd or 3rd room after walking out from Troya and the Troya castle, which there's no point in doing that. Just walk. You're already 1 room away. But it's just that mindset that you have. You're in the moment and you're just clicking buttons.
Maybe he's just worried that if you don't practice using exit, your white mages are going to forget how to do it.
Oh, that's why you got to pick up Cecil. Which in his case would actually not be as good, because he did sell the Excalibur, but does pick up a package. So for Tybalt's sake, I'm hoping there's no Cecil at either the Earth Crystal or the package.
Do you check the package here, Possum?
As long as Fusoya and Edge and Cecil, if you had an Excalibur, are available. To me, yes. I would also be looking for a Rosa. Not to say that Porum doesn't have her uses. With this Zerk heavy squad, any white mage is good. Bacchus wines aren't going to be available. A 3rd Yang, not exactly what you want out of the package, though, so that's an easy reset there.
Yeah, it's nice when the seed makes your decision for you. And by nice, I mean disappointing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if that's actually nice or not. Speaking of things that aren't nice, Ogopogo still being a jerk to Gambit. And unfortunately, there is a wipe to that Ogopogo. I believe his cane has gotten hit first every single fight, possibly up until that last one, so he has not really had a fair shake of things. And looks like more random equipment, crate for Kane in the treasury. Not a whole lot to write home about, though, which is not too surprising given it being a T standard treasury, but still some nice stuff in there.
Yeah, the treasury isn't weighted any higher than any other place. The biggest advantage to it is just having so many chests there on this flag set. Tybalt got a couple of things, but yeah, nothing to write home about.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to make that Zod dive not very surprising, as, again, with all the characters available, excuse me, all the characters available, this is definitely something you want to do. Yang is great in about 30 minutes to an hour from now when he's got a ton of levels. But when you already have a Palom as well to take advantage of the elementals or elemental resistances and weaknesses, Yang loses a little bit of luster in the early game for me. So this would be one where I would look to replace him with a superior Zerker for the early game.
Certainly, and that, even though Tybalt did sell the Excal, Cecil would still be very viable here because of that Avenger.
Absolutely true. Anyone who can wield an Avenger is great, but I don't know if Tybalt in particular has that Avenger since it came out of a monster box. I think Gambit may be the only one of our 2 on-stream runners who has that.
Typically counters a Leviathan to start with. So we have 2 noodles on screen. One junior, one senior, I suppose.
Two hit points and a dream. And Gambit is through Ogopogo.
Gambit made it
work.
through with 4 combined hit points, which is 3 more than you need.
And now on to the easy fight. Very well done, Gambit.
Yeah,
Ogopogo
there is we saw how rude it can be. Tybalt made it look easy, and Gambit makes it through very nicely on that try.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how good you are at this game. Ogopogo has a way of humbling even the best runners. And, we do have 2 of the best on screen right now. But Ogopogo doesn't play favorites. If it's not your day, Ogo's going to further that point that you're not going to have a good time of it. And speaking of not having a good time, this Leviathan not dealing hardly any magic damage with those Ice 2s. And that's that. Tybalt is through the Leviathan. And we will be able to shortly see who the next 2 characters are, while we have Gambit going in and absolutely laying out the damage with that Kane. Over 2,000 a hit on that Mylon Z from Kane. So it's going to go fast.
Yeah, the King of Summon Monsters has a Burger King crown in that spot, and there's an edge.
That edge is very spicy to me. That's an instant pickup to me over Yang. Can still wield all of the claws, and also has the Dark Command. And I don't know if Tybalt has the Masamune still. I think he does, which would be an amazing upgrade, and a second Kane if they wanted to go Kane percent as well. So lots of Berserkers in this seed.
Remember, we did start with a spoon, so Edge might be worth picking up just for that dart possibility alone.
That's a very good point. That's what could probably be 10,000 points of damage to some random unpleasant boss. So that would be a huge pickup.
Tybalt says yes to the Edge, no to second Kane. Probably didn't like didn't prefer the palette there, although I do enjoy the maroon red Kane that was in the offing there.
Is this even?
Tybalt right away using a dart to try and cut through Val.
Yeah, the good thing here, though, is that blue or tealish shaded character named Brian on Tybalt's screen that we know as Kane does have the ability, if he so chooses, to jump and break this spin. Though with the damage coming out from Edge and from Kane doing physical attacks, that really isn't even necessary. Only about 5,500 hit points here, if I remember correctly, so it won't take too long to get through this.
No, and the thing about breaking Val out of her spin is she actually does more damage to your party that way because she hits more often than when she's in tornado form.
That's definitely true, where you only have to deal with weaks and rays and the occasional punch in the tornado form. You have to deal with a lot more in the way of punches when she is out of that tornado form. But Tybalt is through, while Gambit is fighting this Mylon Z, and we will be able to shortly see what is going to be our key item check from this Tower of Zod.
Will Vanilla Valvalis give us a Vanilla Magma Key? That'd be a nice troll.
I mean, it's always great to be able to get underground. Oh, wait a minute. It's, kind of like that password to the Underground Racing Club, right?
Yeah.
That's what that Magma Key would be.
It's a Baron Key instead, and Tybalt right there already. We'll see if he follows this rabbit hole down.
I mean, that's about as convenient a key item as you could get. Speaking of convenient, there is Gambit through, and Gambit will be our second of our restreamed runners underground. A couple minutes behind Tybalt, but again, that one major piece of difference has the Avenger, and that can make up a lot of time really fast. So as far as our on-screen runners are concerned, this is not over by any means.
No, and Gambit has the opportunity to make some different decisions than Tybalt if he wants to. And Tybalt, for the checks he's made, hasn't gotten any key items that he necessarily needs.
That's definitely true. He's gotten a ninja for his troubles, but no progression yet as far as additional objectives. And we'll also see if Gambit takes a shot at the guards at the top of tower. One of the nice things that he could have going for him is a Runax switching into Avenger against Baron guards. That's going to be probably 6,000 to 8,000 damage per hit, and that fight's going to end very quickly if it's those 2 guards instead of the 4 guards.
Yeah, they'd be Baron Sashimi, more like it.
Absolutely.
Tybalt takes his party to play with the dolls that gave us the spoon earlier, and gonna keep that middle yang down.
Yeah, I think this is a great job of showing an understanding of the mechanics of Final Fantasy IV, where the anchoring is just so important to keep all of your other characters acting as quickly as possible. So by keeping that yang down in the middle with, I believe he starts with 8 agility, it means all the rest of your characters, as they continue to grow in level, will continue to get faster and faster, basically until they reach what we call relative agility 1, when they're roughly 2.5 times the agility of your middle character, and then they're acting as fast as possible.
I think that's 5 Blizzard Spears that Tybalt has picked up so far. And Bahamut sitting on the throne, and Tybalt says, "A dragon? That's easy."
Yeah, definitely an easy dragon to fight against. And for Tybalt of all people, even easier. But a little bit of free enterprise and Final Fantasy IV nuance. for whatever reason, Bahamut is not classified as a dragon, even though he is the elder dragon god. Because, again, Final Fantasy IV things.
I just wanted to make a Homestar reference.
I know.
Well, Tybalt says, feel free to follow along with this simple step-by-step instructions as Bahamut crumbles away.
Really left Bahamut quaking in his boots there.
Sure did.
Do dragons have boots? It's a good question.
Ooh, and here's a Rosa. And Tybalt has another big decision to make.
Wow. Tybalt opting to keep Porum and ditch Rosa. I'm a little bit surprised by that, given how much of the seed is still left to be played and how much XP you'll be able to get and catch Rosa up quickly. Definitely don't hate it, though. Showing some love to Porum for all those out there who do find her to be a suitable white mage.
Yeah, gambling that the levels that Porum has already picked up makes her better for the near term and the long term. So a spicy play by Tybalt. We'll see how it works out. And there's
Definitely.
a pan.
Well, Tybalt is finding all of the things. Unfortunately, so far, those things are not leading to the right things, but he's finding all of them.
And Tybalt going to go down into the basement and see who is on the Odin throne.
Yeah, so far, let's see, what would be rude here that we have left?
Golbez, certainly.
Yeah, Golbez here is nasty. Wyvern here is nasty.
Even a plague wouldn't be too much fun.
Yeah, a plague would be a lot more fun than that, though. That's our Wyvern, folks. So 2 of the potential Darkness Crystal locations right now could be Dark Knight Cecil at Leviathan or Wyvern at Barren Basement.
Oh, man.
Sign me up for a giant pilot. No thanks on that.
Well, as the Ramones said, hey, Daddy-O, I don't want to go down to the basement. There's something down there. It's a Wyvern.
Well said as always, sheep. But
Simple going to turn in that pan. Still needs a bunch of key items, so certainly the most dense check he can make at this point. 2 more, or he hasn't checked Sheila 1 yet, so really 3 more key item opportunities. Oh, he has checked. That was a package. So 2 more key item opportunities.
Yeah, at this point, the runners, especially Tybalt, must be thinking, where are all of these, what we consider terminal key items? The Pinktail, the Legend Sword, the Adamant. These are all things that, while they're not progression, they're needed to complete this seed. That's just a power robe. Now, I say just, a power robe is absolutely a phenomenal item. Endgame gear, not a key item, but a phenomenal item in general.
Pow, pow, power robe. Pow, 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 power robe. Tybalt gonna pay Sheila another visit. Meanwhile, Gambit heading down into the Self Cave to talk to the young in the bed.
Yeah, and I am interested to see, well, I wasn't interested to see Bahamut. That does no good for anybody right now, and leaves Tybalt wondering, does it really have to be Dark Knight Cecil or Wyvern? Because right now, it's those 2. It's Keyless Tower, Dwarf Castle, and Octomam, I believe, are our options.
Yeah, unless there's a Demist hiding somewhere, like behind that package.
Package Demus would be hilarious. Because
we're here for the lulls. That would be a lot of lulls.
I'm pretty sure everything Man, I don't know. That Wyvern and that DKC are awful difficult, even if it is a demist it package. You might actually see a demist check it package before taking on one or both of those. That's how difficult those two spots are.
Especially if none of the other checks produce a darkness crystal. Cursed ring for sale in the Dwarf Castle. Both these runners, you'd have to think would want to get their grind on as soon as they get a darkness crystal in hand.
Yeah, one of the other things, though, that this cursed ring in particular opens up is by basically dropping the agility to 1 on a character, which is what this cursed ring will effectively do. Palom can get a first action, and you can actually go Sylph Cave trap chest hunting for levels, or if you have enough Star Veils and you get lucky, you can get off some grinding against doors in the Luca Cave if the Luca key is found. So having that cursed ring opens up some grind opportunities underground that wouldn't otherwise be easily available. But we'll put all that on hold for yet another rude boss. That's an evil wall at a really punchy location.
Yeah, this spot, the first spot in the Dwarf Castle, has a bunch of HP. I think 6,000. I think, and it hits really hard here.
Yeah, I actually think it's closer to 9,000. I think it's like 8,800, something like that. It's surprisingly high because it has to split the HP for all of the dolls. So by splitting that HP for all the baby dolls and then the big doll, Calbrina, it has a lot more HP than one would think, and then it all gets combined into just one singular enemy with Evil Wall. And it can it can hurt. It's not a pleasant spot. Speaking of pleasant things, though, welcome to Moonblaze Wolf and all the raiders with them. Appreciate y'all coming by. And we are about an hour and 10 minutes into a fantastic race so far. We have Tybalt and Gambit on screen, and we are basically Darkness Crystal hunting for grind options and also looking for Pinktail, Legend Sword, and Adamant Armor. So the Seed has been playing, you can have some key items but not the right ones with our runners so far.
Yes, and it seems like the available checks for our runners right now are Wyvern at Odin Spot, DKC at Leviathan, Octomam and Dwarf Castle, and Keyless Tower. And so our runners are trying to make the most of a bad set of choices.
And I believe this has to be Plague at this point. I think we've seen every other lunar boss, and there is Plague.
Plague here, not threatening. 3,000 HP at the spot. A little bit fast, but with the firepower Tybalt is marshaling, should take care of Plague no problem.
Yeah, it won't be an issue whatsoever. And to answer a question from Moonblaze Wolf in chat, hook route was Ogo Pogo into Mylon Z. So Mylon Z not too bad, Ogo Pogo never pleasant.
Yeah, and Ogo Pogo really diced up our runners, and Gambit, sensing that a new audience has come, is going to check that heart.
Yeah, definitely don't blame him. Has some checks to make up now, and definitely has the power to get through this, and will get through it quite a bit quicker than Tybalt did. Part of that being just the sheer power of that Avenger. Avenger go burr.
Yeah, and has some better gear than Tybalt had at this spot, not limited to that crystal ring, so should slice through that pale dim without too much trouble.
Absolutely. And let's see what Luca is wearing around her neck today in the form of fashionable jewelry. And it looks like a moon veil. So That makes me happy because that points even closer to either Wyvern or Dark Knight Cecil being required, but probably does not make Tybalt happy.
Luca wearing a veil is just the fashion trend of the century, I think.
Well, I mean, the dwarves have always had, we'll call it an interesting sense of fashion. But, you know, Luca just playing dress up with that moon veil.
Sybil gonna take that keyless tower. There are some kind of guards up here, either Baron guards or Kaipa guards. So I don't know if he has any J items that could cheese this fight, but either way, shouldn't be too difficult.
Yeah, he has a mute knife that he purchased for Edge. He also has a rune axe for Kane. He probably, he has Toad on Palom. Might even have Size on Porum by now. I'm not sure on that, but definitely has a lot of ways to deal with whichever set of guards it is.
Gambit will serenade us with some Final Fantasy I music. Sybil gets the charm off on the officer, which will prevent the officer from running away and taking most of the experience of this fight with him.
Yeah, unfortunately, doesn't look like the charm actually prevented that. I was hoping it would, you know, not having tried that myself. But looks like he is. But looks like he is through and gets a vanilla tower key.
Scala Kitty rolling quite a bit of vanilla for us. We know she thinks vanilla is the finest of the flavors, and this vanilla tower key will open up another key item opportunity. Makes Keyless Tower worth it. And of all the places to see Water Hag.
I'm happy to see Water Hag here, though, because it means the gauntlet can still be somewhere spicier. I'm sure Tybalt is not happy to see Water Hag here, but that's okay.
Gambit goes directly from that Twin Harp to the Tower of Zot, and will presumably take the Baron Key directly to Baron Castle, which it's always nice to see routing like that, where one thing just naturally flows into another.
Yeah, it's basically the ultimate overworld routing, getting Troya straight into Baron. And I wonder if we will see, once Gambit arrives in Baron, if we get some sort of dive to take on that Wyvern, if possible. Because that would definitely be a way for him to try to take a gamble to make up some time if he feels behind.
Yeah, it certainly would not be easy, but it is possible, especially with the levels. Well, with the levels Gambit has, it's still possible with some star veils and a prayer, and we'll see if we'll see what happens there. But that's still a couple minutes away.
Yeah, for sure. Things that are much closer are things like, what are we going to get from this tower key for Tybalt, and will it point him in the direction of unpleasant things or pleasant things? And the answer is there's the Darkness Crystal, so Dark Knight, Cecil, and Wyvern slightly less required now. But looks like Keyless Tower was the play.
Yeah, Keyless Tower had the goods, which conforms to my pre-existing worldview, and therefore I accept it.
Now, I have a question related to this Giant of Babel. Asking for a certain element spot. Have we seen Kainatsu yet?
We have not seen Kainatsu yet.
Okay, just putting that out there for y'all.
We've not seen Golbez yet.
Also a fine choice.
We have not seen the Alt Gauntlet yet. So,
lots of good options.
Yeah, still some spicy possibilities, which means that the fourth objective on our screen might not be as appealing as you think it would be.
Yeah, and I assume Tybalt is going to give us a check of the character first up on the lunar dais. See if we get a Tella or a Fusoya in particular, which would enable a D-machine grind, albeit an awkward one on 9 key items.
And the lunar dais produces a Sid.
It's a good anchor. Yeah, so it looks like Gambit has a full moon Masamune edge, an Avenger Kane. So definitely has a power advantage in the long run over Tybalt, which again is definitely going to give him the ability to play catch up and make a lot of these checks very quickly.
Tybalt is loaded, or sorry, Gambit is loaded for bear.
Yeah, definitely true. Looks like Sid is going to play anchor for Tybalt, which makes sense given his agility, we'll say growth in air quotes. It's almost never going to become an issue if he gains levels. And looks like we are getting a value cave check first. So looks like we're going top down for Tybalt if he's going to stick on the moon here.
Now, Possum, if you were in Tybalt's situation, would you want to check things first, or do you want to get your grind in order?
I would probably be peeking the giant. Well, no, I wouldn't. I would want 10 key items before I go to the giant, so I would be doing something on the moon here. Maybe that's Tybalt's thinking as well. Now that what I believe was an antlion in Value Cave is absolutely another hyper rude boss to deal with. It's going to punch ridiculously hard. So he's probably trying to find something a little easier to that to get the 10th key item. Or it may just continue through the entire moon and do all of the moon bosses and get all of that XP with the 10 key item bonus. So I could see either way here. But looks like Tybalt is going to go bottom up now and take the density of checks rather than trying to fish a 10th key item out of the Murasame altar first.
Yeah, that antlion in cave value hits hard and also counters any physical attack, which is how Tybalt is doing a lot of his damage. So that's a very quick exit out of there. Going to try his luck in the Lunar Subterranean instead.
Yeah, that's a third boss that we have, though. And part of the issue with having 3 bosses at really rude locations is that you're getting to the point where one of them almost certainly has some piece of what you need to complete the seed. Just based on, simple math, it's very likely one of those 3 is required. Where it gets a little dangerous is if more than one are required. So even though the Darkness Crystal wasn't at Dark Knight Cecil or at Wyvern, that doesn't mean the other items that our runners are looking for aren't. So that's where it gets a little bit dicey, is that those could still very well be required.
Now, how simple is that math, Possum? Can you do it on stream?
It's probably something like a 3 out of 10. Well, speaking of rude things, there's a gauntlet. So make that 4 out of 10. But we're basically looking at about 10 remaining checks. Maybe 11, including like the demist. Well, speaking of demist, so here's another rude thing. So again, this demist is doable, but this is horrible.
Yeah, this is going to take a long time, if nothing else.
Yeah, this punch is hard. It's rude. Yes, it's going to be 3 possible checks. But, oh my goodness. Demist at Ribbon Room, Alt Gauntlet at Plague Spot, Antlion at Value Cave, Wyvern at Barren Basement, and Dark Knight Cecil at Leviathan? I'm glad I'm doing comms and not running this.
That's Skull. All rudeness seed.
It's just gross. I thought Scala was supposed to be a nice person.
Oh boy, well, Tybalt is not going to reset out of this one. Gonna give it a try.
Yeah, this... I might take my chances if I were Tybalt on the Masamune altar at this point. Try to get a 10th key item, try to get a little more XP, and after getting that 10th key item, then take on the gauntlet at the Plague Spot, get those extra levels as your grind, and then take on Demist last. That's a really hard calculation to do in the moment, though, because you see the shiny thing. Demist is the shiny thing. It's 3 checks. So I certainly don't fault this from Tybalt. It's just, this is just such a slog.
Yeah, and Tybalt has to be thinking that with the right amount of key items, this Demist could be go mode. Still needs a Pink Tail, a Legend Sword, and Adamant. It's possible that this Demist could contain all of those key items. So, if maybe Tybalt getting a little bit greedy, but is gonna duke it out here.
But what about plot twist? It has none of them. We do see Gambit about to go turn in the pan. So Gambit making up a lot of ground, and part of that because of the extra equipment that he has. Now that Avenger will be absolutely useless against this Demist, but will be quite handy against a lot of other things. I guess also that Avenger will do no good against Antlion because you'll just take counter after counter after counter. But will certainly help with the Gauntlet, and may also help with whatever's at the Murasame and Masamune altars.
Gambit also turned down that Rosa in Baron Castle, choosing instead to go with the White Mage of the Twin variety.
Yeah, a very interesting decision. Both runners opting for Porum over Rosa. So definitely something that I think you kind of hinted at earlier, Sheep Launcher, was that the levels that they have on that Porum already, they're invested. So why trade out for Rosa when you already have what you need in Blink and Berserk?
That must be the calculus they're doing. And though it breaks some of our hearts to see them pick a favorite, that is the decision they're going with.
Yeah, it's certainly one with merit. I don't think there's a wrong choice in that equation. So, definitely something to keep an eye on, though. Specifically with Porum's hit points being a potential liability. Looks like Tybalt does have a Porum on the ground right now and a Kane without Blink, but is otherwise making good progress on the way through this demist. Has a lot of viruses going out with this Palom, getting a lot of damage in that way.
Yeah, he's in a dicey spot, scrambling to keep everyone up and blinked. Gonna leave that Kane unprotected for now.
Yeah, it looks like Kane jumping kind of mitigates a little bit of the need for Blink on him as well, but doesn't mitigate the need for Edge to have Blink, as Edge took 1,968 damage, which is far more health than he had.
Yeah, and he took it right to the face.
And looks like Gambit going through, going to heal up underground, and I don't believe Gambit has taken Dwarf Castle yet and gotten his Moon Veil. I wonder if, and I didn't see it, did the Moon Veil get used on this Palom, or has this Palom just been dodging every attack from Demist here? Okay, according to Xenocartar Tracker, Palom has been blinked up. I wasn't sure. This is a pretty good spot to use a Moon Veil, to be totally honest, if you have one, especially on either a Palom or a Porum. One less person you have to worry about in the way of extra blinks being cast. But looks like they are saving it possibly for that Antlion if they have to go back to that as well.
Yeah, this is one of those where you wish you had a whole bunch of Moon Veils.
Yeah, Blink is great, but Moon Veil being permanent Blink is a lot better. And there is Demist down, so Tybalt gets the 100,000 experience, gets through that Demist, so great job to Tybalt getting through that just as they ran out of MP on their Black Mage, so perfectly timed. And the rewards are Adamant and Pink Tail.
How about that? The gamble pays off. And so now Tybalt in go mode, technically.
That is true. Just has the Pinktail turn in and then complete the Giant of Babel. And that's going to be that. And speaking of go modes, it looks like we do have a first place finisher off stream. We have X Pancraz coming in with an official time of 1:32:15, finishing in first place for this evening's race. So GG to them.
GG to Pancraz, another terrific runner getting it done off stream. Tybalt and Gambit most likely seeing that result, and we'll see if it affects their play at all.
Yeah, I wonder if the GG coming in is the reason why Tybalt is taking more bosses up here on the moon rather than going to the giant. If he's thinking, well, you wouldn't be able, in theory, to get through that giant that quickly and that demist that quickly without having something in the way of an easily accessible legend sword. So I do wonder if that's part of the logic playing into it.
Yeah, it's easy to meta yourself into knots, and we'll see if Tybalt ends up doing that. But besides the Baron Guards at the Masamune altar, not worth the squeeze right now. Those Baron Guards hit, and hit hard.
Yeah, he got a little unlucky that both the white mage and the black mage got hit and wasn't able to take advantage of the status effects that you could get onto them.
Gonna go back down to the blue planet, see if D-Mist has the trifecta. Looking for a legend sword from there, and also we'll take care of this pink tail turn in while he's down here.
Yeah, taking care of the pink tail. Check D-Mist specifically, a pass would be really nice as well. Oh, that's right, adamant armors are on, so that's kind of a nice thing.
Yeah,
totally forgot about that.
Yeah, definitely worth the extra cutscene to get down into the blue planet. And Gambit going to give us a job dwarf check, a farm products purchasing agent.
That is oddly specific.
Yeah, that is the farm products purchasing agent is purchasing things for the farmer, I guess, in vanilla.
So it's the job dwarf's cousin?
Or at least business partner.
There you go.
Tybalt gets the sand ruby from Rydia's mom. So Rydia's mom wants us to visit our friend in Kaipo. Why don't you go hang out with that nice person in the bed? Who's a Tella?
That's an anchor that knows weak.
And now that Tybalt has 10 key items, it could make a quick D-Machine grind and a giant boss play much more palatable. Sorry.
Yeah, it's definitely a big deal. Will we see the adamant armor? We do. Adamant armor going to be great in this case for leveling out Tella's agility to the rest of the party, making sure that for what will be a very short D-Machine grind, he does not get turn jumped too often. And then after the D-Machine grind, you can take the adamant off of Tella and just put it on someone who you want to be alive or more viable for the Zeromus fight. But that Tella is a huge pickup and just conveniently has a Soma drop as well.
That sure is convenient. Gets 10 extra MP, which means 4 casts a week. And going to hit up the giant. And he's technically in go mode, so it looks like full steam ahead for Tybalt.
Yeah, this is grind and go. So we'll see probably 5 or 6 D-Machines with life glitches will get everyone all the XP that they need. I'd have to do the math, and I've done too much math on a stream already. So it looks like it'll be a quick D-Machine grind with the ability to run being on, you don't have to set up the manipulation right away outside of Baron. And you also get the chance to peek the boss and see if it is a freebie at the Elements location as well.
I mean, with the way this seed has been so far, that's certainly not a guarantee at all.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like it's going to be either King Queen Eblin or Kainatsu. Like, I don't think there's an in-between that we're going to get. This has been a very polarizing seed so far as the levels of rudeness versus lack thereof. So I'm curious to see what we get here. Looks like Tybalt is not peeking, though. That Elements boss is just going to go straight for the grind.
Yeah, Dark Imps have not shown up yet, so that's another possibility for Tybalt, but Tybalt is going to go into the grind first and make sure that no matter who is at that element spot, he has a fighting chance at it.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Also, Edge with the ability to equip the Thunderclaw, definitely a huge boon for him. Can just one-shot those beamers.
Even gets life glitches off on the beamers, which is always fun to see.
Definitely. Now, one really funny thing that could happen here is if this Elements fight is, let's say, those Dark Imps, or let's say some other freebie, and the CPU spot has the Alt Gauntlet, oddly enough, the very first fight of the Alt Gauntlet at the CPU spot, that is the D-Machine fight. That's the grind fight.
It's too bad the Alt Gauntlet was up in the Plague spot.
Oh, that's right.
Appreciate the knowledge.
That's right. See, it's it's getting late. It's slightly past midnight here, which is bedtime for most sane folks who have things to do. But yeah, that it's the thought that counts.
It really is, and you never know when a factoid like that is going to come in handy. So
it hasn't come in handy yet for me, but one day. And it looks like Tybalt getting a little unlucky on these grind fights, finding this D-Machine. Hopefully that happens soon for him.
Gambit gets his darkness to hide his yearning. Gonna go straight to Mysidia and be faced with some news.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Gambit approaches the moon as well. What direction he chooses to go, whether it is a top-down approach, bottom-up approach, if he does kind of a PK special and goes for the Murasame first, or I believe it's a Demarine special going for the Crystal Sword altar first. Lots of good routing choices and interesting routing choices Gambit can take here.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit about the meta earlier. Gambit might feel inclined to depart from what he would normally do, just based on the fact that Pancras finished about 10 minutes ago, and nobody else has finished yet.
That's certainly true. Might think, let me find something difficult and take that on, rather than take on the more logical, checks or places.
Pancras asking in check, ooh, where did Gambit get that Avenger? He got that from an Evelyn chest, and I can see the jealousy from here.
And looks like we are going to have a bit of convergence into the Giant of Babel here, as Gambit also is on his way in. So he is going to be of the mindset that he wants to get this Giant of Babel out of the way, and then we'll be on to the moon to do his checks. So he will be without Tella, though. So he is not going to have the D machine grind on the table, but he has various claws. So I assume we'll see a Thunder Claw here, and we're also going to see, I believe, a Poison or Rune Axe or Ogre Axe. So it looks like we might be getting some Mac Giants on Gambit's side.
Gambit also only has 9 key items, which is a little unfortunate.
Yeah, a bit of a feels bad, but he's going to get through these Mac Giants very quickly by taking advantage of those bonus weaknesses. So not going to take a ton of time, but still going to get through and get a lot of XP. Maybe won't do a full grind, though, and just rely on the rest of the giant in order to get the remaining experience.
Yeah, it'd be better. It would make more of a difference if Gambit were doing a full grind, didn't already have the levels he has. While both of our on-screen runners are in a grind, I do want to thank everybody. Xenocat for tracking, Scala Kitty for the restream and for rolling this wonderful mess of a seed, and Possum Morpheus, my incredible talented co-commentator.
Well, you are too kind, Sheep Launcher, and don't forget about yourself either in that you are also a fantastic commentator and runner of this game yourself.
Oh, don't say things you can't take back. Commentator, I'll take. Runner, no.
I think, as is the case for most folks in this community, everyone tends to sell themselves short. So you are doing that as well by saying you are not a fantastic runner of this game.
Well, the old McDonald Had a Farm broadcasting crew. We're really having a fun time bringing this to you, and hope you're having a good one wherever you are.
All right, so looks like Tybalt is about 6 D machines in right now. Should be coming up on the end of their grind fairly shortly, and then we'll see how much longer Gambit goes as well.
Yeah, I've lost count of how many they've done. Tybalt, I think, is on his 5th or 6th.
Yeah, I may have miscounted. I was trying to keep track of both, which, again, math is hard.
Yeah, counting is math.
Yeah, simple addition, 1 + 1 is 3, ? Doesn't always work. So thankfully, there's not a ton of math you have to do when you play this game. Otherwise, I would be boned.
Well, Tybalt did use another either on Tella, indicating to me that he's got at least a couple more D machines in him.
Yeah, with 10 key items, getting Palom to nuke at his current level should only take about 6 with life glitches, so he may just be going for power overwhelming. Just to make this super easy as far as the rest of his seed and his Aromas fight.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to wipe to the element spot, no matter what it is. So Tybalt going to do everything he can to make sure he's fully prepared.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And, I do like Gambit's play of doing the Mac Giants and getting his grind out of the way before going to the moon. Having this as an option and knowing how to do this Mac Giant grind, definitely a heads-up play by him. It will make, it'll make that demist fight, quite a bit quicker for him. So still a lot of time to make up, even though Gambit may seem to be a little bit behind. They're realistically only one fight away. One fight difference in that demist from catching up to Tybalt.
Very much so. Although the other advantage that Tybalt has, besides being one fight ahead, is that adamant armor.
That's true. Adamant armor is a pretty decent piece of gear. It looks like Tybalt is done with their grind, and they are going to get 1,722,000 experience. That's all of the experience, and that's going to be a level 67 Tella.
Well, you know what I say, Possum? I say you haven't over-leveled until you're at 99. Oh, he gets an Hourglass 3 for its trouble.
I like the Hourglass 3, and I like the fact that Tella has 1,500 hit points.
Time for Tella the Tank. Tella the Tank strats.
I mean, Tella with an adamant armor there legitimately survives unnerfed Big Bangs. Oh, you are, in fact, a warlock. Somebody called this fight.
Would that make you a carry?
I see what you did there.
I'm more of a Samantha.
Oh, Lord.
Dark Imps at the element spot couldn't have asked for much better, and the stone takes care of it very easily.
Yep, just another easy 205,000 experience, which I'm sure is exactly what Tybalt needed at this point with his 2,600 and 2,500 HP mages and a 1,500 HP Tella, which I will say as many times as I possibly can.
Yeah, too bad that Tella has so many elemental weaknesses now that he's been stripped of his adamant armor.
Well, he'll be fine. Okay, maybe not.
Ah!
The plus side here, at least, though, is that Golbez offs himself incredibly quickly, pending you don't immediately blow up to the magic that he uses.
Yeah, both mages have gear that allows them to escape the hold, so they'll be able to get actions off quickly, and as long as Shadow doesn't eat both of them, Tybalt should be all right.
Yeah, Tybalt looked like he will be fine. Has 3 characters standing. One of them is a Palom, opting for direct nukes. Maybe is out of Starvels. I didn't check the inventory. Could have considered a Moonveil for safety there, even if he was out of Starvels. But looks like he's just going to just quad 9 the Golbez and get out of here as quick as possible.
Nuke. Apply directly to the face. Nuke. Apply directly to the face. Nuke. Apply directly to the face. Although that's a 5,400 virus that Golbez puts out.
Yeah, well, the virus being non-elemental could have actually killed Palom there. But the lits, the fires, etc. would not. So it is a little bit of a risk, even with an adamant armor on, that an adamant armor user could die to a Golbez here because the magic is just so inflated. But Tybalt is through. Edge and Palom survive, 225,000 more experience. And he is now officially going to get his crystal and be in go mode as our first of the on-screen runners on Restream.
Tybalt bites his thumb at Golbez and is off to face Z.
And I hope he does not replace his Tella. I would be sad.
That would be super disappointing. We need the beefy Tella in our lives.
I absolutely agree with that.
Give us the beefy Tella.
And we have Gambit getting his Dark Imp fight underway as well. So we'll see if he opts for Psy strats or Toad strats.
Tybalt kicked six-pack Tella to the curb.
Yeah, we're gonna have to ask him about that one.
I think so.
340 HP Tella just doesn't do it for me. 1500 HP Tella does.
Xenocat making a salient point that Beefy Tella is too fast for anchoring, but I will make the counterpoint that we don't care.
Well, there's the other point as well that even at 10 agility, I think Palom should be more than 25 at this point for agility. Same with Porum. So I don't actually think it would have made a difference based on the sheer levels that Tybalt has. I know that Palom is incredibly slow, only has 23 agility at level 52, but I think his Palom is at or near 60, which should have enough agility to still be relative agility 1. Again, not that it matters. The party's just so strong.
Yeah, I don't know what level his Palom is, but Palom has 2,800 HP.
Yeah, it's a lot. That Palom is level a lot.
Yes. That kid has been lifting the books. Which I remember reading that that's how Arnold Schwarzenegger advises young grade school kids to start lifting weights, is to not to lift weights, but to lift books.
Well, that's a very good way to put it. And if you're talking about lifting anything, Mr. Schwarzenegger is probably a really good source of information on it.
Yeah, I'd trust him with anything to do with that. Now, Tybalt not even saving in the save room. He's going to go directly into the core, and I saw a couple of flags. Possum, what's going on?
Well, it's what, 1:30 a.m. Eastern time. It's 10:30 Pacific time. It's some random o'clock Judge and Phineas time. So I think it's a midday nap for him. I think it's nighttime for the rest of us. For our friends in the European Union, maybe they need to take an early morning nap. I think that's what all those flags are for.
I don't know. Time to nap.
Though.
How can you have time to nap? This is Zeromus time. So we can't move Zeromus away, but we do give him a palette swap, a new look every single time. And with that, we have a question, and that question is, whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
I hope it's Hummus.
Hummus?
Nope, Hummus. But hummus is a really good one, too.
It really is. Gambit gets through his Golbez.
I think Gambit got through his Golbez with Golbez actually killing himself.
Yes.
As opposed to doing the job and getting the script. One of the few places you can actually have that happen because the magic is so absurdly high there.
Mm.
Tybalt hopefully not having another controller issue.
Oh boy.
Looks... Oh, saw an input. Tele fighting. I don't know if fighting was what he wanted. Maybe it was. Maybe this is all part of the plan.
Beefy Tella would have hit Zeromus for quad 9s there.
Definitely. This may actually be intentional, where he's just looking to get the Zerks going as quickly as possible. And may still have a Bacchus wine from sometime very early in the seed to beat up on this this Wedge and Biggs, or Duomus as it is.
Very cool from Final Fantasy VIII, and Tybalt gets to beat up on 2 Zs for the price of 1.
Yeah, always a fun time when you get multiple enemies. I know it's almost as good as Fabul Gauntletmus, or Gauntletmus, or whatever that one was, where Scala magnificently put 17 minions on screen for us all. But this is also a very good sprite. I know that I've always enjoyed the Wedge and Biggs carryover through multiple Final Fantasy games.
Tala took that nuke right to the face, and once again we must lament that Beefy Tala would have survived that counter nuke.
Yeah. 1,500 health point Tela would have in fact survived. But it's okay.
What's more disturbing, Beefy Tela or Swole Tela?
Swole Tela, just because I hate the word swole. So it just doesn't sit right with my ears. Looks like Gambit is choosing Feymarch, saying it's not on the moon. So we shall see, with these levels he has, maybe what's behind this this Dark Knight Cecil after all.
Yeah, nobody's checked Octomam yet, so maybe Gambit takes a gander at that, but Gambit goes directly to Dark Knight Cecil and says, "You, me, now."
And surprising no one, his Tela has dropped to the ground. And he just made... Oh,
he took that Tela at the end of the Giant as well.
Probably thinking that's the only Tela, and it's just kind of a kick them while they're down thing. Getting the grind character after you've gone through the Giant. But there's the justice is not the only right in this world. Someday you will see, and that day is today, and that time is now, and we will see what the key item is, or possible key item, from this Dark Knight Cecil.
He never tells us what those other rights are, though. Just a silver apple.
That's
disappointing.
That's not nice. That's you need all the HP just to get through that spot, and the reward is more HP.
Tybalt slicing and dicing his way through this Duomus. Hasn't been seriously threatened in the Z fight yet.
It would be very difficult for that team at those levels to be threatened by anything. That Kane and even that Edge would easily survive Kainatsu waves at elements. And honestly, the mages might too. That's how overpowered that party is. That I don't know that there's anything in this game that could stop them. And rocks are not going to stop them either, as Tybalt is closing in on victory. And there it is, GG's to Tybalt, finishing with an official race spot time of 2:02:53, coming in second place and first place on our restream out of our restreamed runners. So GG's to Tybalt, and we'll see if we can get him in for an interview.
GG to Tybalt, a well done race with a fantastically overleveled party. You'll love to see it.
Yeah, definitely always love to see it. He did a great job maneuvering through that early game for sure. And I believe we are joined by Tybalt. GG's to you, sir.
GG.
So you had a 1,500 hit point Tella.
Yep.
And you kicked him to the curb. Were you threatened? What was going on there?
More of for agility anchoring at the end. I knew I had the curse string, but after a certain point, even if Tella does have a curse string, agility still does play a big factor into it.
Well,
I just wanted to make sure that I could do Zerk strats right there at the end, and I hate my controller.
It's definitely a prudent line of thinking. You know, whether we're disappointed or not is irrelevant. But, you know, GG's to you. We saw the controller issues rear their ugly head once before as well, I think in Cave Magnus, actually.
Yeah, Cave Magnus, it died on me, so it was fully charged. Don't know why it died on me. It was still trying to, like, it disconnected and it was trying to reconnect. And then right at the beginning of the Zermus fight, lost connection. And I had to switch my inputs to keyboard. Because I was not resetting and doing the walk of shame all over again because I swag walked.
That explains why Tella fought.
Yeah, it was just a quick input change. I'm like, I'll work with it.
Well, it was very well done. You know, overall, you did a great job maneuvering the overworld. There were a lot of kind of sketchy situations you had to get through. What was your thought in particular when you saw Ogopogo at the King Queen Evelyn spot?
I saw the Lunar Sparkle. I'm like, okay, this is either Ogopogo or Plague. Please no Ogopogo. And Ogopogo. Great. Might be able to do it. And I knew the first time when I fought him, I almost got through. So I'm like, you know, I just needed a bit of extra armor, a bit of extra damage, and I should be able to get through it. And lo and behold, I got through it the second time. Ogopogo can be quite nasty there. He's even worse at the Ruby spot.
Definitely. Never fun to find him on the hook grab at all.
Well, that seed was filled with rude bosses at rude spots. When they started piling up, what was your thinking when there was DKC at Leviathan and Wyvern at Odin's spot and the All Gauntlet in the Plague spot? What were you thinking with so many just totally unappealing boss checks?
Well, so I was thinking about doing Dwarf. I'm like, I don't know what the other boss is. I've got Earth Crystal. I'd hope to get a Tella or a Fu or some different party members than what I have, because Yang's great, but he needs levels. And I didn't exactly have a way to get levels for Yang at the time, so I went to Earth Crystal. Okay, it tells me a Lunar Sparkle is sitting at Dwarf. And at that time, I had seen everybody besides Plague and Wyvern. I ain't touching Dwarf. Nope. And then I saw Wyvern at the Odin spot. I'm like, okay, Dwarf's free.
It makes sense to me.
I had thought about using the Alt Gauntlet at Plague for a grind if I hadn't found the Tella in the Sand Ruby spot.
Yeah, I had actually speculated about that as we see a Glass Helm from Wyvern. Ouch. After a silver apple from DKC, just so you're aware of all the things that you dodged. But we speculated on maybe you would take a different check on the moon, trying to get to 10 key items and come back for the gauntlet, then do demist after kind of a pseudo-lunar grind. So I was curious if you were thinking that in the moment, and that kind of cemented that thought process.
Yep, it was okay. Check plague for a 10th key item. Oh, it's all gauntlet. All right, go to the next one. Oh, hey, demist. All right, cool. Ooh, pinktail. I'm technically in go mode. I'll check Ogopogo in case the admin's there, because I'd rather not have to fully do giant. And I had to do giant anyways because those Baron guards hit hard.
Yeah, they were not nice to you. They decided to pick on your mages in particular, which is not the ideal situation.
No, it's not.
When you're trying to size or toad or mute whatever status ailment you want to put on, it's not ideal to lose those mages.
No, it's not.
Well, speaking of plays, have you determined what's faster, exiting from the foot of Young's bed or leaving out the back door?
It's a toss-up. Either one. I've seen it happen both ways. It's just, do you want to walk or do you want to exit out? I've done calculations like for Tower of Zod, like the jumping club, and jumping out's faster than warping by about 30 seconds than walking out as well. So there are some differences with exiting and warping, but Sylph, it's how fast can you menu? And I've got an exit mage at top slot, so pretty quick.
Makes sense.
And that Z fight looked like it was a lot of fun once you got over the keyboard issue.
Yeah, it was. I was happy to be able to get through it, and I realized after I had zerked the edge that he still had a Thunderclaw on instead of his 2 longswords.
That is his ultimate weapon. I believe that's been established.
As we've seen here.
Well, it was great to watch you work as always, Tybalt. Huge fan of you running not only Free Enterprise, but all the other randomizers and everything else that you've run. For sure, if y'all haven't checked out Tybalt, make sure you do. He is an amazing runner of this and many other games. I don't have any more questions for you, Tybalt. Sheep Launcher, do you have any questions for Tybalt?
No, I don't. I just want to say GG's again, Tybalt. Congratulations on a great run and a second place finish, and thanks so much for the restream.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks both of you for commentating, Scala with the restream, and Xenocat with the tracking. As I always say, we can't do this without you. You guys really do make the show happen. We may be racing, but you guys make it happen.
GG's again, Tybalt. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
GG's.
Bye.
While we were talking to Tybalt, we did have a third place finisher. Flurry14 finished in third with a time of 2:10:44. GG to Flurry.
Yeah, GG's to Flurry. Absolutely fantastic. And also, while we were in that interview with Tybalt, Gambit showed us an apple from DKC, a magma key from Octomam, a Dragoon Spear from Antlion in Value Cave, and Wyvern gave us a glass hat. So all of those horribly rude bosses being horribly rude to Gambit. Just not nice overall. So I don't know what Gambit did to you, Scala, but I think it needs to stop. The poor guy has been beaten.
Yes, to a little angry dance.
Yeah, definitely saw that angry dance that was done after getting the Dragoon Spear. We will get our first check, though, and find out what's at this Murasame altar. So I'm excited to see a bit of new information on this seed that we haven't yet gotten to check out.
Yeah, if anything, Gambit's route great for the completionists among us. I did see from Tybalt's log at the end that the Wyvern spot had the rat tail. I don't know what boss was there, and Kainatsu here. Well, there are worse places for Kainatsu to be, but not too many of them.
Yeah, still a rude boss to find on the moon or anywhere with a lot of HP. Thankfully, it's not going to matter too much because this is at this point just a DPS race, and Gambit has more than enough damage to get this done. So the wave will probably do about 800, maybe 1,000 tops, but it's not going to be bad at all. Yeah, 600. That's easy peasy. This Kainatsu is not long for this world.
Possum, did you see in Tybalt's rundown where that Legend Sword was hanging out?
I have not checked the race spoilers, so let's go find out. Oh, I guess you were talking about the on-screen spoilers, not the actual... Yeah. Well, I see it now. So
our tracker Xenocat telling us Legend was obtained by turning in the rat tail, and that rat tail is at the Wyvern altar. So Gambit has that possibility, but it won't really matter because the Adamant is gated behind that Demist, which he is kind of beholden to fight at this spot.
Yeah, hard required Demist at the D-Lunar spot always makes for some interesting choices that runners have to make, because they know that's a long check, and they might be dissuaded from doing it, especially having seen someone come in, again in this race's case, one runner in X Pancrase finishing 30 full minutes ahead of the next racer to finish. So that might lead people to think it's not that Demist fight based on how long it could take.
Well, speaking of finishes, we do have a fourth place finisher, Emily's Poorly Drawn Bees, finishing in fourth with a time of 2:14.46. GG's to Emily's Poorly Drawn Bees.
Do we say bees or GG's?
GG's?
No, BG's works. Wait, can we say BG's? Is that any sort of DMCA issue?
just to say the name, yeah. But if I do my incredibly accurate Andy Gibb impression, that might run us into some problems.
Fair enough. That makes sense.
Well, Emily's Poorly Drawn Bees did stay alive through that Z fight, so GG's to her.
Never stop being yourself, sheep.
I mean, who else could I be? Everybody else is taken. Gambit going to that Demist fight, which we know is his ticket out.
I will say, very interesting choice to immediately Zerk that edge. I wonder if we might get some Silver Staff strats here.
Ooh, what are Silver Staff strats here?
Well, they are nothing if your White Mage is down, but basically the premise behind it is you use the Silver Staff as an item, and it actually stops your Berserkers from berserking anymore. It more or less removes the status, kind of acting like Dispel. So you use Silver Staff as an item, it allows you to get all those Zerks off, but then you stop your Berserker before getting all these Cold Mist counters. So it's a fantastic little way to go Zerk and Zerk and Zerk and stop. It's really only used for exactly Demist as a way of a stop-start mechanic for your Berserkers. but it can save a ton of time because you don't have to sit through all the counters. So a nice piece of niche tech for anyone who wants to try it out.
Niche tech is the best kind of tech. And as you can see, the cold mist counters not doing anything and not doing much in the way of damage. It's just an annoying time sink.
Yeah, it's 1 damage to everybody in this case. It can do upwards of about 100 at high magic spots when your party is low level, but at these levels it's going to do 1 damage and just be more of an annoyance than anything. But let's see if Gambit can get through this before another mist phase and pick up a little bit of time here. Doing a ton of damage between these Zerks and these nukes, so should be able to get through this. Probably going to drop this D-Mist with this next nuke or shortly thereafter.
Yeah, put the slow on D-Mist for some extra safety, and Quad 9 does the job.
Very nicely done by Gambit, getting through that fight relatively quickly, even with those Zerk counters.
Gets the good news of that Pinktail and immediately hightails it out of the Lunar Subterrane.
Yeah, the only thing he's probably wondering at this point was, with everything I've done, how have I not found a pass? Thinking I'm 2 hours plus into the seed, I still haven't found a pass and I have to walk the whole moon again. I'm sure that is going through his head right now. It would definitely be going through mine.
Yeah. Gambit will be getting his steps in, but that is cold comfort.
Definitely true.
So who would you put this adamant armor on if you had Gambit's party?
I would be putting it on Porum. Just in the event that Zerking needs to happen a second time, I would want to make sure my White Mage is alive to make those Zerks happen. But I could also seeing it go on either of the other, either Zerker, whichever one doesn't have the power shirt, to give them that bonus 15 strength. And just, increase that damage output so that you don't even have to worry about a second Big Bang. So I can see the thought on either one. And then there's also always merit to putting it on Palom, just so those nukes do quad 9s and you can reflect them. So there's no bad choice for who that adamant can go on.
That is the nice thing about an overpowered piece of armor.
Yeah, it's not only an overpowered piece of armor for this game, but it is arguably one of the most overpowered pieces of gear in any Final Fantasy game. Adamant armor is just so good. 15 stats for every single character attribution, incredible magic resistance, 100 physical damage, basically making your character immune to physical. It's just an overwhelmingly good piece of gear.
Yeah, it's hard to say enough about how how good it is, and how nice it is when a Pinktail shows up.
Yeah,
the ones are turned on.
Yeah, the one nice thing about the Pinktail being an objective is, if you find it, you not only complete the objective, but it's, hey, give me that adamant armor. But we'll see if Gambit gives us a swag walk as well, or if Gambit decides that they are going to take the more prudent route of saving. but we will find this information out shortly while they are traversing the lunar subterranean.
Yeah, Gambit, deprived of the pass, gets to see all the sights of the lunar subterranean, most of which he's already seen. The proprietors of the lunar subterranean don't seem to have much interest in sprucing the place up at all.
Yeah, not a lot of interest in sprucing it up, and they haven't changed the music in all these years as well. You know, this same elevator tune, just playing on repeat over and over again.
Yeah, you'd be amazed at, at how nice fake flowers are now. A couple of them would really, just put some shine on this.
I agree. There'd definitely be some nice touches that could be done.
Now I'm imagining a Muzak version of, of this song and getting strangely hyped.
I mean, maybe we can put in an ask from Calamity and see if we can get some sort of harp remix of this.
No, I want like the real elevator music. Like
All right, a couple apples, and Gambit's Porum now has 2000 HP, nice. 2000 HP. About 500 or 600 behind Tybalt's Porum, but a 2000 HP Porum is still an incredibly high leveled Porum. So she will be standing proud in this Zeromus fight.
Yep, you might as well eat them now. You're not going to get a chance to later. And
yeah, apples don't carry over to the next seed.
Nope. Eat them if you got them. And although it's not as good as a gold or silver apple, I had a Cosmic Crisp apple today that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Oh, fantastic. I didn't have an apple today, but I had apple juice, pulling out the 8-year-old child in me. Happy to have my apple juice as a pre-race drink.
There you go. All right, Gambit going to face down the ultimate evil, which is Biggs and Wedge.
Yeah, I don't know if they're the ultimate evil, especially with the levels that our runners have had this evening. Not much that they're going to do, but they're going to try.
Oh, you can be evil and still be impotently evil, I guess.
That's fair. I suppose that would be like stormtroopers are, I guess, evil, but absolutely incapable of doing anything with their evilness.
Especially shooting straight.
Yeah.
That's a question. What is stormtrooper armor even for if it doesn't protect against anything?
I have no idea.
Stormtroopers are the ones who need adamant armor.
Scala brings up a good point. It looks neat, and that's important.
That's... I guess that's all that matters. And was that the Porum that took that counter nuke?
Yeah, apparently 2,088 hit points is not enough for Porum to survive a counter nuke, which seems awfully unlucky.
Yeah, that seemed like a high roll, but definitely important to get that Porum back up zerking. Gambit does have one Bacchus, but definitely wants to get both the Kane and the Edge zerked. Yeah,
the Avenger actually providing a nice boon here in that, again, it means he doesn't have to cast Zerk with Porum, which is especially helpful because Porum is, again, going to hit the ground here and not be able to cast Zerk. only took 400 from that nerf Big Bang, while Palom took under 400.
And that spoon that's been burning a hole in Gambit's pocket since the very beginning of the game, finally, Gambit darts it at Biggs and Wedge.
Well, sadly for Gambit, that's about the third time I think he's darted that spoon. But the first time it's going to stick.
We have a 5th place finisher. Neon Gray finishes in 5th place with a time of 2:27.25. GG to them.
GG Neon. And I think this edge is now out of cutlery and other darts. So they will have to be berserking now.
Yeah, if Edge had a kitchen sink to throw, he'd certainly throw it.
I believe we also just got a Zerked Palom, so I think we're going to get the quad here.
Well, Gambit doing it for the people. A quad Zerk, certainly a fitting way to end this Underground Racing Club.
Or at least a Tri-Zerk, because a Cure 4 is prudent here.
Yeah, I guess there are limits to how far you'll go for the memes.
Get him, kid. 300 damage on the bunk. You'll love to see it.
I just picture the Palom going, ah, yeah, yeah.
I think that was perfect intonation as well. I feel like that's exactly how the kid would sound.
Yeah.
There's a nuke confirming that we are in the second phase of the fight. And I assume we're going to see rocks fairly shortly. There was a lot of damage that came out from those darts and those early nukes.
Yeah.
Gotta be getting close.
Too much longer. Palom taking that counter nuke, and rocks are falling.
And children are dodging. So looks like everyone but Tella is going to be up for the end of this one. And there it is. GG's to Gambit, finishing in 6th place with an official race bot time of 2 hours, 30 minutes, and 30 seconds. GG's Gambit.
Damn.
And we should be joined by Gambit shortly. And looks like we are joined by Gambit now. GG's Gambit.
I wouldn't necessarily say GG's, just game would be probably precise for this seed.
All right. G to you, Gambit.
This was I've had worse seeds, but not by much.
I will say we noticed early on that you were getting the rough end of things on a lot of early targeting and early fights. The board AI was not your friend, and we were hoping that was going to turn around for you.
It didn't, and a lot of it also was my own mismenuing, and I mean even that Z fight I had 2 pretty bad missed targets. One with the nuke that took out Porum, and then again with the Zerk that decided to Zerk my black page, so...
Oh, we thought you were going for a quad there.
Nope, that was actually
Well, you shouldn't have said anything. We were giving you the credit for it. So in our minds and in chat's minds, it was a quad. You're fine. So take us through kind of your thoughts on some of the spicier boss checks that you did, and some of the rewards that they gave you. What was your thoughts as you kind of went through them?
Well, Earth was haunted. First and foremost, there was nothing down there save the darkness crystal that you absolutely needed this seed. Unless Legend Sword is in Luca, which I guess I'll find out when I see the spoiler log. But Earth was completely haunted, and in a seed where I full cleared everything but Luca on Earth, that was not very nice.
Yeah, this was a seed full of rude bosses and rude places. The rudest of all might have been that Ogopogo. You made it through in a fine way, but it took you a couple tries to do it. What were your thoughts on that?
Just bouncing off that Ogopogo over and over and over again. I was like, I can get through it. I knew at the levels, the first attempt I saw who it was, I was like, okay, let's go take the Mad Ogre chest, get a little bit more levels. But I was like, I've got enough levels that I just need RNG on my side and I can get through this. Unfortunately, as you guys pointed out, Board AI did not like me today, and I just could not get the RNG I needed until finally I was able to push through. And even then, I got through to the safety save and then still took another wipe to Mylon Z on the other end. I was like, I just can't catch a break.
Yeah, we had noticed that you were having a bit of a rough go on things, but you persevered through it. You made the right plays. You got the levels and got the gear, and like that Avenger is huge. That was fantastic for you to find. You had what you needed and you leveraged it accordingly. You just got unlucky, and unfortunately, those things kind of happen. And don't feel as if you were alone. Tybalt had his fair share of misfortune as well, unfortunately for him. Just got through it ever so slightly quicker, but y'all definitely went on an adventure, and it was fantastic to watch you run through it. It's always a pleasure to see you do your thing.
Yeah, this was definitely a seed. Oh, yep. Earth was haunted. Rat Tail into Legend Sword. Rat Tail from Wyvern Spot. Oi. Earth was completely haunted this seed.
What were your thoughts when Tella was the character at the end of the Giant?
Of course you show up now. No, I will say at the point where I finally got the Darkness Crystal, I had Virus, I had a decent Rod, not too great. I had a Thunderclaw, I had an Ogre Axe. I was like, my thought was Mac Giant the whole way. And that's why I went in, I was like, I'm going to do at least 5, and then I'll start taking on the Searcher, and we'll go from there and see how many more I get. I think I did about 7, and it got me enough levels to get through the rest of that Giant, so.
Yeah, it was well done. Always good to have that Mac Giant grind in your pocket as an option. The Giant itself wouldn't have been too bad without the levels, but that Moon and the other checks that you made would have been nightmarish without some sort of grind. So we thought that was very heads up, taking that grind and getting your levels out of the way. Even on 9 key items or 8 key items, it's still a very prudent play to get that out of the way. So we thought that was very well done.
Yeah, it was a situation of I could have gone for one more key item. I could have taken on those Feymarch bosses and gotten key items. I think Magma key came from DKC. But I didn't do much shopping, so I never found any Cure 3s anywhere. And I would have needed at least 1, if not 2 Cure 3s to get through that fight without grinding. So.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Well, Possumorpheus, do you have any other questions for Gambit?
I do not. Just as always, it's a pleasure, Gambit, getting to watch you race. And for anyone who hasn't checked Gambit out, make sure you do so. He's a fantastic runner and a fun watch.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Sheep Launcher Possumorpheus, for doing the commentary. Xenocat for pushing all the buttons. I came close to a 17 of 17 for you. I tried. And Scala for rolling a wonderful classic seed like you always do. This was fun. I'm going to go throw this seed in a dumpster somewhere and burn it with kerosene. And I'll see you guys next week.
Ooh, fire.
Have a good night,
Gambit.
Gambit. GG's.
All right. Well, on behalf of our tracker Xenocat, of our restreamer Scala Kitty, and on behalf of Possum Morpheus, thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight in the Underground Racing Club. I believe we're going to go raid Emily's poorly drawn bees, your 4th place finisher. She'll be doing some drawing, I believe, and then on to another free enterprise seed. So we'll show her some love. But so before we go, just wanted to shout out 7th place, Frankie Bones, coming in 7th place with a time of 2:36:57. GG to Frankie.
Yeah, GG to Frankie Bones. And thank you again to you, Sheep Launcher, my co-commentator this evening. Thank you, Scala Kitty and Xenocat behind the scenes. Thank you, Gambit and Tybalt, for letting us watch you do your thing this evening and get through this heck of a seed. And everybody enjoy the drawing from Poorly Drawn Bees. And we will catch y'all next time. Take care and have a great whatever time of day it is for y'all.
So long.